Okay, well, folks, it's day 163, Tuesday, March the 30th, 2021. Really couldn't sleep all that much last night. If you saw my last, few videos, you obviously know there's a lot of turmoil going on at work. I got maybe a handful of problems done. I'll have to double down tonight, maybe even today, depending if I actually stay at work the full day or not. Because I'll be meeting with the manager and discussing this sort of stuff. Because, look, I'm not keeping my mouth shut about this the way I had to keep my mouth shut about so many damn things in undergrad. With that girl at college. I had to keep my mouth shut about things because it was a matter of environment where not only were they the popular kids, but the professors just didn't really give a hoot, give a rat's behind what was going on. They weren't going to step in and try and say, no, you too, knock it off, or anything like that. But in this case, I'm speaking up about it. I'm gonna speak about it from an angle of how this girl introduced a certain dynamic into the whole work environment that was not there prior to that. Because similar to with the girl in college, and I really can't call her the one-itis girl per se anymore because this is another case of one-itis, but in the case of the girl in college, the original one-itis girl, let's say, with her, there was definitely that whole process of okay, I was friends with all these people at one point, and then because of conflict with her, because all this romantic garbage that was going on at the time, I ended up losing all these friends, and honestly, in retrospect, maybe those weren't really friends of mine. Maybe their friendship was, they were friends. Their friendship wasn't worth that much. But if you have the same thing going on at work, you're talking about a paycheck, you're talking about living, you're talking about having a roof over your head, all that kind of stuff. Especially when you have to go in there 5 days a week for at least 8 hours and that sort of thing, maybe even the overtime. It's just I know which side most of these folks are just, they would by default go on, because I'm the guy, and she's the girl, and as is obvious, people typically take the side of the girl, regardless of whether or not she was truly deserving of their support, or whether or not she was in the right or the wrong, just because she's a girl. It's that whole dynamic. When you're dealing with this kind of stuff, you gotta be okay, who can I really count on here, and I guess that's where the whole alpha beta thing might have some value, because betas will definitely side with the girl. Sort of their instinctual sort of thing. Even if they're not trying to get laid with her, it'll still side with her. And of course, women will side with the girl. Because the sisterhood over everything. But yeah, I'm speaking up because at first when I started working here, it was just it was a professional environment. We were working, we were getting stuff done. The guy that she's now with, he was just a coworker of mine. It wasn't a big deal, It was okay, we're coworkers and we get work done, and we sometimes crack jokes. We were getting along, that sort of deal. Now it's there's that whole other dynamic, that whole other layer to things that should not be there. And unless I bring up quote unquote sexual harassment charges or sexual harassment allegations dating back to pun intended, when she originally was asking me all these intrusive leading questions, that sort of a deal. I'm gonna end up stewing in my emotions. These things are gonna still go on. And it's always going to be like, man, what the heck is that guy angry about, Oh, he must be pouting about this, that, or the other. And it's sort of like, as much as in some sense I am, this goes deeper than just, mere jealousy. Because like I said, this is not just, this is not college, okay? College or high school, where it's kind of like Susie and Timmy are dating, and you like Susie, but she doesn't like you, and now she's dating Timmy. It's kind of like that kind of stuff. That's for like outside of this, when it's work, like, my God, like, I don't really understand. Well, this girl is like 20, 21, which is just really stupid, like, because, she's obviously immature, and she's probably in, looking at her background, she's probably never had anybody really tell her, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, no, that's not allowed. Maybe it was kind of understood, but she, always had this sort of like, well, you can't do this if I get found out, I can't do this, or, it's not allowed if daddy finds out, but as long as daddy don't find out, then, it's cool, that sort of thing. And, no, this is not okay just because your dad doesn't know, okay? Like, this is bigger than that. Because honestly, like, I held off for the longest time. That's probably why, I missed my opportunity to get with the girl, I missed the opportunity because I was trying to play by the rules. I was trying to be professional. I was trying to hold off on things and treat it all as, oh, we're just work friends, we're working here together. And obviously, like, when you work with people, you might, want to get to know them and socialize and all that kind of stuff to make, make the work hours go by, a lot faster, just so you can, have a decent time at work. And I tried to be like that, kind of hold off, and, at the same time, like, I knew I was falling for her. And I took so long that she ended up, like girls do. They're never going to admit this. They'll pretend like, oh, guys, you guys can shut your emotions off just like that. You guys are so heartless and all this kind of stuff. You don't have to deal with this sort of stuff like we do. But, in the meantime, she had moved on, to get with the other guy. And then by the time I came around, getting my courage up and kind of getting the go-ahead, so to speak, to ask her out, obviously she was already with the other guy. And, just this whole chain of events, this dynamic, I said it before, I'll say it a million, billion, trillion times, I don't want this at my workplace. And I feel like the well has been poisoned. In all likelihood, even if they don't fire me, they don't try and turn this on me and make it like, oh, well, you asked her out, dude, what do you think was it, or whatever, like, they don't do something like that, it inevitably will lead to either conflict directly with them, which will probably lead to a situation where I'm told to, GTFO, or it's going to be like her allies, the other people on the shift going, well, screw that guy, if she goes and tells him, gives him the whole, like, waterworks and, cries her eyes out, oh my God, I can't believe he went to the manager and he told them, and they'd be like, oh, screw that guy, he's a jerk, he's a lazy jerk, and we'll take care of him, sort of thing, and inevitably that'll, like, lead to something like that. So in all likelihood, I mean, like I texted my dad last night, in all likelihood, I'll be quitting from here soon. As if I didn't already have enough reasons not to like working at this place, which, it was a huge mistake. Maybe I needed a respite, so to speak, from the long commute and the long hours, among a few other things at the other workplace, but, the compensation at the other place wasn't just, the fact that I'd pull all this overtime and I'd make money and no one would give me any crap about it, but that I actually had some work friends. And we'd go out for breakfast or lunch, dinner, we'd go hang out, we'd crack jokes, we'd give bust each other's chops. It was a real, like, stress reliever to hang out with with my coworkers. I at least have that. I don't have that here. I have this crap, you know? And apparently, yeah, there's probably more of the interpersonal conflict stuff on the day shift at the old place, but from what I've heard, they don't do dating. So that's something that they just straight up they get. You don't date coworkers, you know, because stuff like this ends up happening. I mean, let's say that, you know, or I could give another possible scenario. Let's say that I had absolutely no romantic interest in her, and she had none in me, and it was her dating the other guys from the get-go, and they broke up, and they started getting into fights, you know, because whatever, you know, breakups are very rarely clean cut affairs. They're typically very messy. There's a lot of emotion involved. There's a lot of memories. There's a lot of, you know, there's conflict. You know, how would that work out? You know, I mean, what would happen? Would the manager have to sit down with them and be like, okay, look, you know, you broke the rules. You weren't supposed to date. You did this sort of stuff. We got all this kind of crap going on. You know, this has to end. You know, or one of you's going, and maybe the guy would get fired. Maybe the girl would get fired. You know, and the rare exception to the rule where the girl actually faces consequences for toying with, you know, some guy or leading him on or breaking these rules, you know. Maybe that would happen. It's like why you don't freaking do this sort of stuff. And like I said, the well's already been poisoned as far as I'm concerned. I may just take the rest of the week off. I think I have enough PTO for that. I got that exam next week, and, you know, at the very least, I would want to isolate myself from these two, not have to see them or deal with them, and try and sort of be able to put those images out of my head, and you know, take these entire days just to study for my exam, because, like I said, I only got 2 problems out of the 9 the problems that I had written down for this day. I only got, you know, 2 of those done last night. And I'm probably just going to do a completely different chapter now, you know, because it's sort of like times of the essence and all that. But see, like, all this other crap is going on in my life. And if I don't do well in this midterm, I mean, it could mean me just never being able to go to grad school, or I have to, like, go and somehow put that off even further and relocate to some other area of the state or of the country to be able to take the kinds of courses that I would need to take in order to, you know, bump my GPA up and all that kind of stuff, you know, and get into a graduate program. It's going to make things even more difficult, you know. And all the while, this girl will just go on with her life, and maybe it'll be one little bad episode in her, you know, in her perfect existence, you know. Meanwhile, I'll be completely screwed, you know. Like, so much the reason why I had to take these extra courses in order to bump my GPA up enough is because of the influence or the effect of all that crap with the one-itis girl. I mean, the original one-itis girl in college. How it affected my mental, emotional health so freaking much that I ended up, you know, barely getting like, you know, C minuses. There were a couple of cases where I got some D's and they allowed me to pass because they were like terminal courses for the degree, and I was able to graduate. But honestly, like, that stuff has such a detrimental effect on my academics that I ended up having to, I'm in this spot right now where I have to take all these courses to try to bring up my GPA. And it's like, yeah, you know, you can only do so much of that before it becomes impossible, because you've expended way too much time, energy, money, etc. to, you know, get finally to that point where you can even get into the program, and it's like you just miss out on it. You just miss out on it in life, and you end up like not really going anywhere. You just end up stuck for the remainder of your existence. And like I said, you know, this all happened to me, but with her, it'll just be, you know, oh, it was nothing, or it was just that's just some guy, that was just some thing that happened when I was 20 or 21, and, you know, she'll forget about it, she'll move on, etc. Just like the freaking original one-itis girl who's now with that guy and living with him and all this kind of crap, and living her dreams, living her freaking dreams, okay? I got into this in the bud. I don't think my dad fully understood my text from last night. He's just kind of worn out and tired, and besides, I don't think he really comprehends fully just a lot of the stuff I say. He's looking at it from a boomer generation sort of angle on things, where nothing's a big deal, and this is not a problem, or whatever. Like, when it comes to even just getting a girlfriend, it's sort of like, or getting a wife, back in his day and age, if you could be making 30 or 40K a year as an engineer starting off, and just because of your earning potential, you could get the girl. She would get with you for long term because of that kind of stuff. And nowadays, that isn't the freaking. Why the hell are these people stuck between lanes when crying out loud? I'm really mad right now. Sorry. But you could get the girl, you could get married, you could have a family. Heck, just even being able to like pay for a house, pay for a car, pay for anything and everything, like partially because of inflation and other factors. And just intersocial dynamics. There was still some of that holdover from quote unquote the old social contract, where the man had to be a good good provider in order to not even just to get the girl, but it was sort of like, it's not like that girls didn't get with their fun guys in college type. They didn't have their party years, and we're talking about the hippie generation and all that. But beta bucks was prioritized. When we typically talk about alpha and beta, that's what I mean. I'm talking about in that sense. I'm not talking about in the sense of like man bun, dad bod type. I'm talking like beta bucks in terms of like this guy could provide for a family, sort of a sense. That was emphasized when it came to hypergamy back then. There's that sort of holdover from the old social contract. Nowadays, it's all gone out the window, and I wonder if the whole alpha C beta need thing really stopped applying at some point. I really wonder, because even that makes sense on some level, on some primal level. This sort of stuff, I mean, if you have an entire generation of young women getting with guys who are wimps, I mean, look, eventually life is going to get tough. For a lot of these, women, it might be when they're in their 50s or their 60s or their 70s, It might be in their 40s, it might be in their 30s. You can never really tell. And they get with these guys who are just incompetent douche-tards, dad bod, man bun, effeminate types who, if something bad were to happen, like they would not be able to handle that business, like in my family's case, my mother and sister being in and out of the hospital for several years in a row when I was still living there. I mean, there was a time, there was a night when I came home from studying and I found my sister passed out on the floor of her bedroom. And I guess what had happened was she had tried to take some, muscle relaxers, and they had initially gotten stuck in her throat, and because she had that hiatal hernia, it kind of kicked it back. But then somehow when the muscles, relaxed back to normal, the, pills became they became dislodged, and went down into her, into her throat and then down to her stomach and were metabolized there. And once they were metabolized, it was kind of like this whole chemical cocktail that caused her to essentially pass out. And because she passed out, like that, she fell over and knocked herself out. And I was the one who found her passed out. I was the one who called 911. I calmly directed the paramedics, to the house, took them through the house to her room, My dad was there. He tried to stay calm and all that, but he kind of started freaking out a bit, because like she was not responding. And they were able to get her to come to, and they had to take her to the ambulance. I think she started like coming to, when they were there. I think they had to give her some shots. It was like I think adrenaline shots or so, but can't remember all the details. It's been years. I think it was like 2010, 2011. But then they'd take her to the hospital. I mean, obviously, because even if she came to, they'd be concerned like, okay, did she really hit her head? Is there damage? We need to have her overnight for observation purposes and for immediate response purposes, that sort of deal. But it's like if these girls get with these guys who are just complete inept, incompetent douchetards, dad bod, man bun, effeminate types, and there's something like that happens, I mean, they're screwed. A guy like that is not going to know what to do. He's just not. Even if he knew the mechanics of it, okay, take phone, dial 911, wait, okay, check her pulse, check her, if she's, breathing, check, okay, operator is on the line, talk to operator, tell operator what is happening, tell operator your address, direct operator, or direct ambulance to house, they know the step-by-step process, like, they're not gonna do that. It's all fun and games for those types, until it's no longer fun and games. But you know what? I guess it was worth it, girls. I guess it was worth it. You got to have your fun. Because that's what matters, right? That's what matters. Anywho, I don't know when the boss is going to be getting in, the manager. I'll have to ask, but I swear after that meeting, I'm just going to want to go home and take the rest of the week off, because like I said, I got very little sleep last night, and I can't be doing this. And if I end up having to, because I'm technically scheduled to work with the girl today, and I don't want to freaking deal with her, okay? I don't want to deal with her attitude. I don't want to deal with these dynamics, and inevitably, like, that guy's going to come over, and it's just going to be this whole sort of, like, me being the third wheel kind of crap, because that's honestly, and this is something I should have picked up on a lot earlier, because that's how it would always get. I mean, not always, but eventually it got to be like that, where they'd be sitting there chit-chatting while I'm doing all this work, and it's just kind of like, dude, like, what the hell, And if I made some mistake on a form where I, didn't have all these things perfectly done, like, I'd be getting crap for it, and I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with those feelings of jealousy. I'm bringing this up, and I'm bringing down the kibosh. I'm tired of this, I'm freaking tired of this. And maybe this is the first time in her life she'll be hearing the word no from somebody. And dude, if I have to end up talking to her, I'm going to find it very hard. You know what? I probably will say something. I'm going to try not to drop any F-bombs or say any sort of really, really truly offensive stuff, like, stuff that would change the whole dynamic into, like, me being at fault and me being a threat or whatever the hell. But, needless to say, like, I'm not beating around the bush with this. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. It's like I just wanted a workplace where it's like, okay, the commute isn't too bad, the work's not that bad. I got the possibility in year after year of being at said company to mosey on over to an engineering position, etc., etc. I wanted stuff like that. I didn't want this. Because like I said, like, if this is a workplace, supposed to be professional, they're not supposed to be girlfriend, boyfriend, dating drama dynamics going on. And like I've also said before, like if if I had to go through my entire work life and there was never any attractive young woman who was flirting with me or wanting to date me or whatever, from my workplace, I'd be perfectly fine with that. Keep those two damn things separate, even if it meant that my life was, an empty shell of what it could have, would have, should have been, I'd rather have that than have this, where it's like, it's one thing to have nothing, it's another thing to have nothing and see the other person having everything, when, the rules state that we're all supposed to be on the same page, But, anywho, I'm actually early today, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I'll be talking to the manager, and I'm gonna be grabbing some cold hard truths, because I'm sick of this. This has gone on for like, I don't know how long actually it's gone on for, because it's at least been a month and a half since it got super serious, and it was kind of like, oh, what's going on with those two, sort of a thing. But even if it's just a month and a half, truly, like, I'm tired of this. That's a month and a half too long, So anyways, wish me luck. Probably gonna get myself fired or reprimanded or something or other, and I'm not gonna be down for working here much longer. So anywho, day 163 of Nofap, and it's a really tough day. So as if yesterday wasn't tough. Well, the last month and a half hasn't been horrible, but anyways, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.